Good morning. Welcome back to First Talk with Hal Row on 1290 WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Our guest this morning, candidate for North Carolina House District 96, Jay Adams. Mr. Adams, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Hal.
We got some questions for you. We want to find out a little bit about you and give the listeners an opportunity to find out more about you and your campaign. First question we always like to ask, tell us about yourself, where you're from, and your current job or position. Kind of start us off there.
Okay. I grew up in Concord, North Carolina. I will say my mother graduated from Hickory High in 1938, and I lived across the street from where she graduated from high school. So I graduated from the Citadel in 1972 with a Bachelor of Science degree in education. I specialized in psychology and biology. I came to Hickory in 1974 with my father, commuted for a year, and then in 1975 moved here. And our first business was a good firm wedge shot from here, the warehouse right over here on Highland Avenue. We worked at that. In 1978, we had to dissolve that business, and really in 1978, I found myself looking for a job. I took a minimum wage job at DeVille Furniture. Started out in the frame department as a frame inspector. Worked my way up. Actually worked through all the departments in the plant. Then I had an opportunity to go to work with a management consulting firm, and that got me into a lot of furniture plants in North Carolina, Virginia, and Arkansas. So 1983, I got a job with Secor. I was a technical communications specialist and had to go through all the field engineering courses. Then I had to learn how to use all of the equipment, splice fiber optic cable, and then write manuals on how to do it for other people. I was a part of the big layoff in 1986. I decided then I didn't like being laid off, and so I got into the commercial real estate business, and that's where I have been since early 1987.
So tell me a little bit about your family. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, my wife is Donna, and Donna's from Greenville, North Carolina. Okay. I have two children. My daughter, Elizabeth, just graduated from NC State last year, and she works in Raleigh. She works in the cloud. My son graduated from Hickory Christian Academy, and this past spring, he is now a freshman at NC State. He's an Air Force scholarship student there, studying engineering.
Very good. Well, let's find out a little bit about what's going to be happening in Raleigh. This is some of the things that I've kind of picked up on, and you are running for the North Carolina House District 96. One of the things I like to talk about, because there has been so much conversation about it, and it's coming up in a lot of political ads, been a lot of conversation in Raleigh about education and teacher pay. Tell us your opinion of the current state of education, teacher pay in the state of North Carolina.
Well, there is a lot of information, misinformation. There's just a lot of stuff in the air, and I've been reading a lot about this, talked to a number of people about this. Factually, they have increased the amount of money going into education this year, no question about that in my mind, even though people are saying otherwise. I said from the beginning that we have to have parity with our neighboring states if we're going to keep teachers in the state. It just so happens that I have a number of teachers in my life through very close friendships. Teachers are stressed. Teachers are being asked to do, they're changing the game on them all the time. In business, one of the things that business seeks is certainty. I mean, when you start out to do something in business, you want to know that what you're about to do will work, and they won't be changing the game plan on you, tax-wise, regulation-wise. Right. Teachers are no different. Teachers want to have a stable curriculum. Teachers are very passionate. I mean, I got a degree in education. I did my practice teaching on Sullivan's Island outside of Charleston. I have huge respect for teachers, and I would like to see their burden lifted. I think teachers want to teach. They just want to be free to do what they've trained themselves to do, and I'm pretty passionate about that. That's not where I bring a lot to the table yet, but that's a place where I'm going to focus my attention.
Very good. What specific legislation would you like to see in the next General Assembly that would benefit our area or your district, House District 96?
Well, legislation that will benefit our area is legislation that will benefit North Carolina. I think that the strategy that the Republican Party has established with regard to reducing taxes and reducing unnecessary regulations is a good basic policy for the state, and that will ultimately arrive in Hickory. What I intend to do, or what I think I do bring to the table, is the fact that I've been in the economic development business for 27 years. I basically was heavily involved with the creation of Catawba Valley Boulevard. Most recently, we did the Super Walmart in Granite Falls. Those things create construction jobs, they create retail jobs, and they instigate further economic expansion. So I am conditioned to recognizing economic opportunities. It's just a way of life for me. So as North Carolina benefits from this economic strategy, my intent is to locate, identify opportunities for Catawba County.
Now, let me ask you this. I want to make sure I have this right. The 96th district basically encompasses the northwestern part of Catawba County. Is that correct?
It is Mountain View.
Okay.
It is Hickory.
Okay.
It is, now we are in the 89th district here.
Okay.
Across the railroad track,
right.
In the 96th district.
Okay.
There is a pocket there. It is the St. Stephen's community.
Okay.
And it's Conover.
Okay. Very good. I wanted to make sure that we knew where that was. Now, when we come back, because we're going to have to go to a break here, when we come back, I'm going to ask you about the city of Hickory voting on a bond referendum. And do you support that or oppose that referendum, and why? That's our next question when we come up for Jay Adams. I know that's local, and it involves the city of Hickory, but I'm going to ask you about that when we return, if you'd care to comment on that. More First Talk after the break. You're listening to First Talk with Hal Row, broadcast live Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. on 1290 WHKY AM, talk radio for the Greater Hickory Metro, and also streaming live at WHKY.com. The program you're presently enjoying. Good morning. Welcome back to First Talk with Hal Row on 1290 WHKY, talk radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Our guest this morning, Jay Adams, North Carolina House District 96 candidate. Before we went to the break, I wanted to ask you about the city of Hickory. I know this is specifically for the city of Hickory, the bond referendum. Do you support or oppose the referendum? Why?
Well, I'm kind of in an odd position in that I live a block from here, and this is kind of almost the ground zero for a lot of the projects that are proposed. So I feel like I'm in a little bit of a conflict if I come out in favor of it. So I'm going to let the folks in Hickory make that decision.
Okay.
I hope that they will do their due diligence, just as I will. And I've read all the minutes of the meetings and listened to the propositions, but I've got to look at a little more information. But I hope everybody does that and gives it a fair shake. Park 1764, potentially very important.
Very good. Fair enough. What's the first thing you want to accomplish if you're elected?
First thing I want to accomplish is just like if you go on a fishing expedition or a hunting expedition, you got to figure out what the battlefield looks like. You got to go over there and you got to meet the people. You got to understand who they are, find out what their desires and needs are for the areas they live in. We're talking about 119 other members of the House, and you got to figure all that stuff out. And I think that I'm well prepared for that from all of the committee activities that I've been involved with over the last 27 years or so. I do bring a fair amount to the table with regard to transportation, air and water quality, and land use. So I can jump right into the deep end of those pools. But there's a lot more to that. Education is an issue. Medicare is an issue.
I was going to ask you about that. The state of North Carolina opted not to expand Medicaid. How did you feel about that decision with not expanding that? And I know a lot of people, I'll keep my opinion out of this question, but a lot of people at first thought it was a great idea. Maybe some people are rethinking that now. How do you feel about the state opting not to expand Medicaid?
Well, that's an issue that, again, is very polarized. I mean, you hear things from both sides about how it was a good idea, how it was a bad idea. About 10:30 this morning, I'm going to engage in another couple of hour-long conversations with various people about that. What I've heard so far from what I think are reliable sources is that it could be a good thing to have a Medicare expansion. However, there's a lot of uncertainty right now with the execution. There are issues there that make it it's like telling somebody to get into a business deal that you don't have all the answers for. I'm not ready to say that it's a bad idea or a good idea. I don't mean to be dodging the point. It's just that that's a complicated issue. But at this point, I think it was probably a good idea not to do the expansion at this time.
I understand. Tell me how you feel about the responsibility that comes with this job. Do you feel like you can really make a difference in people's lives and individuals' lives, especially in your district, if elected?
If I can create jobs in this district, I will make a difference. That's what I've been doing for the last 27 years. Creating, most of them have been retail jobs, but there's a lot of construction jobs along with the projects that I've been involved with. So, but moreover, I've been selling the Hickory market from Hickory. Now I have a chance to go to Raleigh to sell the Hickory market. In 2005, we had the World Sports Center. We were arguing Hickory over a site that was basically in the Ballantyne area of Charlotte, and we won that argument. We actually convinced the investors from Chicago and New York. Mike Minter was an investor. We convinced them that Hickory was a better site than the Ballantyne area of Charlotte for that project. Didn't work out, but I can make these arguments. I mean, Charlotte's got some very difficult problems with regard to transportation. I'm on the Regional Roads Committee down there. Everything they talk about is congestion mitigation. We don't have that problem here. And that's a very, if not an impossible problem to solve, it's a very expensive problem you keep pouring money into. So we've got lots of transportation infrastructure. If there's one thing I'd like to do, it's not in my district, but I'd like to immediately get the Highway 16 project advanced. I'd like to see that completed. 9 miles, and we've got another 4-lane pathway to Charlotte.
I was going to ask you, because this is while you're going to be representing the local district, you're also going to be meeting with, as you said, 119 other representatives in Raleigh. This is kind of one of those magic wand questions that there's really, but when you go to Raleigh, what do you see or perceive right now the biggest impediment or the biggest challenge is to moving the state of North Carolina ahead in Raleigh? I mean, at one point we had the Democratic majority, now we have the Republican majority. What's the biggest impediment to moving the state ahead, either on the national or regional stage? What do you find to be the biggest, I guess, I hate to use the word problem, but the most difficult thing that you'll need to overcome, or the legislature itself will need to overcome in Raleigh?
The conversation is so combative. I mean, there's so much hyperbole right now, and you have to wade through that. The reason why you can't, I'm in the commercial real estate business. To transition to Medicare, Medicaid, and accurately render an opinion about that, it takes time and effort. Well, the sources are very conflicted. So you have to read through a number of sources and then decide what the truth is. So, and I've said this before. I mean, I was involved with the location of, say, McDonald Parkway, and we debated like 5 different routes. Until you sit at the table to make these decisions, until you are there, you are only reading sources. It's when you get there you hear it for real, so to speak. So there's a lot to learn. I'm enjoying it. I have an appetite for learning about new things, and I'm very excited about doing this. I'm very, very pleased to do it. And this is a legacy thing. We're not getting any younger, Hal. It's like I'm in the choir at First Baptist, and what we're always told is finish strong.
You go.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, we have just about a minute and a half left, so I'm going to let you. We're going to give you the microphone and let you wrap it up to make a statement regarding your campaign. But the question that I like to ask, kind of to lead lead into that and to give you that last minute, because I think this encompasses it, is why are you the best candidate for the position? That's kind of, pardon me, my last question. And then you'll have 1 minute to tell us about Jay Adams.
Well, I'm the best candidate because I have vast amounts of experience in committee work. I've worked with a lot of people. I've worked with the primary communities, Conover and Hickory in the 96th District. I lived in the St. Stephen's community for 20 years. I lived out a couple of blocks from Cool Park Pool, so still have a lot of friends out there. And my involvement with the Catawba Valley Wildlife Club, got a lot of friends in Mountain View too. So I move very, very comfortably through the 96th District. I know the district. I know Catawba County. I mean, you just learn that from being in commercial real estate. I work with the municipalities. I worked with Hickory. I was on the Hickory by Choice Committee for 30 months back in 1999 and 2000, and I'm presently working with Conover. So I know how to deal with these municipalities. I have experience there. It's about experience.
Very good. And you have the microphone. Anything else that you want to wrap up or let us know about this morning before we wrap up? And there's the theme music, so you got about 10 seconds. Okay, well, the thing we haven't talked about is veterans. I'm a graduate of the Citadel. My father was a World War II vet. He lived out his last months at VA Hospital in Salisbury. He was a prisoner of war in World War II. My son's a scholarship Air Force ROTC student at NC State. Our family is very invested in the military, and so I'll be watching out for veterans. You're listening to First Talk with Hal Row, broadcast live Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. on 1290 WHKY AM. Talk Radio.